Enough is enough. Wall Street's greed and illegal behavior drove this country into the worst economic downturn since the 1930s. And then, after getting a huge taxpayer bailout because they were too big to fail, it turns out that 3 out of the 4 largest banks are bigger today than they were before we bailed them out. That's crazy. I'm Bernie Sanders. My plan: break up the big banks who are strangling our economy and make them pay their fair share of taxes. Then we can invest in the middle class, expand Social Security, and provide universal college education. I'll rein in Wall Street behavior so they can't crash our economy again. Will they like me? No. Will they begin to play by the rules if I'm president? You better believe it. I'm Bernie Sanders, Democratic candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Bernie 2016.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. DJ Sports. You can follow me at DJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. You can check me out on Facebook. My personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. You can check out the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. And also check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Glad to be here tonight. We got Izzo joining us at 10:30 to talk NHL. Very, very excited about that. Always great to have him on Tuesday nights and be able to talk some NHL. Get to learn something every week, so it's really cool. Got a couple interesting things that I want to talk about tonight, and kind of excited about that. I was supposed to have a special guest join us tonight, but that didn't work out. Thought we were going to have someone hanging out in the studio with us for a while tonight, but other things came up, so I get to roll solo again tonight. So no biggie until we get Izzo. But just interesting day. A couple more free agents being signed. We'll kind of talk about a few of those, where they're going, and what they'll be making. Outside of that, I think that I don't know, kind of flew under the radar today. Kind of weird things that kind of been the topic on the sports today. So, I don't know, a little bit different. Interesting trade as we watch the New England Patriots trade defensive end Chandler Jones to Arizona Cardinals for offensive guard Jonathan Cooper in a 2016 second-round pick. I thought that was very interesting. Of course, you got to protect Tom Brady, and the Patriots obviously working on that. And that was interesting for Arizona. I guess they feel really good about their offensive line. Offensively, you know, they're great. That defense, I don't know if it kind of fell apart at the end of the season last season against Carolina. So Obviously, this is a move to help Arizona work on their defense as well. C.J. Anderson, after many rumors of saying that C.J. was going to go elsewhere, he decided he's staying in Denver, 4-year contract extension. So C.J. Anderson staying put. Mike Wallace signing with the Baltimore Ravens, 2-year, $11.5 million deal. Not a bad pay. I thought that was interesting today because Mike Wallace went ahead and let the truth be known, and I believe it because I've also been pretty much saying the same thing about Teddy Bridgewater all along, that he's not that great of a quarterback. Mike Wallace on why he chose Ravens over Vikings. I need a good quarterback. Oh, I thought that was entertaining and too true. It took Mike Wallace one press conference to burn a bridge. During his introductory press conference with the Ravens on Tuesday, Wallace took an indirect shot at Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, with whom he shared the field with during the past season when he racked up career lows in pretty much every receiving category. Despite a previous report that stated Wallace could return to the Vikings after they cut him a week ago, Wallace indicated the exact opposite. He was never going to return to Minnesota because he realized he needed a good quarterback. Apparently, Bridgewater didn't match the description. When his process started, I knew that I wasn't going to be back. When this process started, I knew that I was not going to be back to Minnesota. I was like, I need a good quarterback. I need a quarterback who I know is proven and could get this thing done. Wallace said, per the Baltimore Sun, Joe Flacco, he's always been that guy. I've always loved his deep ball, always. Like I said, when I was in Pittsburgh watching Torrey Smith catching them, I was like, man, this guy gets like 8 in a row. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a great opportunity. I tell you what, I'm not a Baltimore Raven fan, but knowing that Steve Smith is coming back, knowing what they already have there on that offense, and then with the addition now of Mike Wallace, I tell you what, Joe Flacco might be a little dangerous next year. As much as I do not want to say that, the Baltimore Ravens are definitely giving Joe Flacco a lot of targets and a lot of opportunities, and if I'm especially AFC North, and I know Minnesota, I know Pittsburgh wasn't too far off from being a serious threat of running away with this AFC North, even as good as Cincinnati has been. The addition of Mike Wallace to Chuck Jacobs and Perryman and Smith, Cam Worthy, I mean, just this receiving core that it has already been fun to watch with Flacco. You add Mike Wallace to the mix. Good God. Tell you what, the AFC North, it's about to be an interesting race, at least a 3-team race. Cleveland, God knows. What is Cleveland? It's just like you always intentionally, you went out and got a great coach. I love the addition of Hugh Jackson. But it's like you went and got a great coach and decided you're just going to get rid of everybody and leave you nobody. We lost 3 key pieces, Mack and Gibson and Benjamin. Didn't make no kind of splash at all in free agency. I understand we got a couple picks in the first round, but it's not like we got 4 picks in the first round. We just got a couple. I'd love to be a fly on that wall. I would love to know, have a little insight on what the master plan is here, because it looks like they're intentionally just dissecting what little is left of this Blue and Brown team. I mean, a team that had potential, a team that it looked like you was only a few pieces away from being a wild card team, not win the division, but at least make it to a wild card opportunity. That defense was top 10, top 5. All those draft picks we used to get all those pieces, Jabal Shearer done went to New England, Phil Taylor, sent somewhere else. All those draft picks that we spent on making this a very good defense. Yes, the offense wasn't worth a damn. That's why, even though our defense might only hold them to 6 points or 9 points, our offense can only produce 6 points. I mean, our defense was stout. They weren't allowing a lot of points. Our offense couldn't score garbage. Instead, we would hold them to 9 points, but we could only score 6. We'd hold them something to 13 points, but we could only score 9. It was horrible. Defense was stout. And then you guys waste draft picks for a couple years straight. Brandon Whedon, come on. He was already at the age of retirement when he was drafted. 31 years old. Johnny Manziel, we already knew he had many off-the-field issues and played by his own rules, especially when he got away with the autograph signing garbage. That was already Johnny Manziel. The NCAA, only thing they did was just help create a monster. Now, he's self-destructing. You knew what you was getting when you drafted him. There was a reason why nobody else had drafted him. I don't get it. It's like you're intentionally just dissect. Once you screwed up a couple years straight and wasted first-round draft picks, it's like you said, you know what, forget it. Didn't try to hold on to TJ Ward last year. Just letting pieces go left and right this year. It's just like you went from one extreme to the other. You went from putting yourself in almost playoff, even though it might have been wild card, playoff talk, to just throwing it all away. I absolutely positively don't get it. I wish that I could be a fly on the wall and understand what exactly is going on in Cleveland, because it absolutely positively makes no sense to me at all. But I got a kick out of this, listening to Mike Wallace in one press conference say the same thing I've been saying since he was in Louisville. It just amuses me. Baltimore, yes. You're going to be a real serious threat to taking this division. Like I said, it's going to be fun to watch. But it ain't even funner if Martavius Bryant would have got himself suspended for, at a minimum, a year. I mean, that could have made things, really fun to watch for that AFC North. Andy Dalton back, and see if the Cincinnati Bengals are able to improve themselves any. And then Baltimore, that would have been very outstanding to be able to watch. And I don't know. I know the Steelers would be in the running even without Bryant, and it's not like Bryant was making or breaking the team, so we might still have a very interesting run here for the NFC North Championship. we're quite intrigued right now. And this is coming from a guy that's going to be having to watch it from the bottom up, being a Browns fan, not having a dog in the fight. I can imagine, though, it being something that could be very entertaining to watch. I don't know, I just can't get past right now, does it? The comments by Mike Wallace, I don't know. It's not like I don't. It's not like it doesn't surprise me that he said it. It just funny to me, I guess. It was just exactly what I've been preaching. Oh, DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not. Sorry, I had to. I thought my heart had just hit the ground because when I decided to jump into the studio and check out what was going on and see if there was anything going on in the studio, it showed that the next episode or next show is to begin in so many minutes. And I was sitting there thinking this whole time that all of a sudden the show, I hadn't looked in the studio since I started the show, and I was sitting there, so, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, there's a possibility that the show didn't even actually start. I just screwed up or something. I don't know. And because it didn't say we was on the air, and it was counting down to when the next episode was supposed to start. Wow, that just gave me a heartache. But back to DeMarcus Cousins. We talked about the fact that this one-game suspension and yelling at the coach and the timeout and the loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the fact that the NCAA has part to blame of why DeMarcus Cousins is DeMarcus Cousins. Because this one-and-done stuff, and we can argue this all day long, but I know where I was at when I was 20 and 21 years old, and I know where I was at when I was 24 years old. I know that those 3 years of life and learning helped me be more mature than I was at 20 and 21. And you let somebody not fully mature and then give them a bunch of money and pretty much say, you know what, you did what you wanted to do in college, the rules didn't apply to you. Now here's a bunch of money, we're going to reward you for that, and expect it to be any different. I mean, this team's gone through something like 5 or 6 head coaches since 2010, 3 GMs. This is an exact reason why the one and done should not be something that is allowed. Give these kids an opportunity, these young adults, an opportunity to mature, to learn how to be an adult, to learn how to have responsibility. Quit rewarding these kids just because they're athletically gifted. Quit rewarding them and giving them a reason to never grow up. And yet, DeMarcus Cousins, you just can't shut your mouth and just move on. No, the immaturity still has got to shine through. Sacramento Kings general manager Vlad Divac said in a statement last Thursday that he was suspending center DeMarcus Cousins one game for conduct detrimental to the team. But in the first comments since being sidelined, Cousins said he believes Coach Carl, George Carl, actually made the call. That wasn't a suspension that came from the organization, Cousins said, after the Kings' 108-99 loss to the Utah Jazz on Sunday. That was one from the head coach. There's a difference. Cousins totaled 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in his first game following the one-game suspension. The two-time All-Star was suspended for yelling at Carl during a timeout during a 102-111 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers on March 9th. Cousins served his suspension during the 107-100 loss to the Orlando Magic on Friday. When told of Cousins' view of the suspension, Divac Divock told Yahoo Sports with a huge grin, "I love DeMarcus Cousins." That is my only comment. It's no secret Cousins and Carl aren't the best of friends. Cousins has often voiced his displeasure with Carl to the media this season. There has been reports that Carl could be fired during the NBA All-Star break, but he's expected to coach at the rest of the season. Source close to Cousins told Yahoo Sports there's a belief that Carl has pushed several times for King star player to be suspended. Carl has said prior to the Jazz game that he and Cousins exchanged pleasantries. Nothing in depth to Carl, who has a 36-59 overall record with the Kings. I'm not going to communicate how we evolved in this. The big thing is to win tonight. The best for me, for everybody, for the team, is to get a win. After the Kings did not get the win, though, Cousins disputed the pleasantries Carl claims he shared with his center. He hasn't said a word to me, Cousins said. Like I said, 5 different coaches, 3 different GMs since Cousins arrived as the 5th pick in the 2010 NBA draft. DeMarcus Cousins is a very talented basketball player, obviously. But at what point does holding on to one talented player get outweighed by everything that you've given up? 5 head coaches, 3 general managers, players that do not want to be there to play alongside him. The opportunity to finally get into the playoffs that you've not been into for 10 years. It don't matter how gifted DeMarcus Cousins is. If he is not going to be a team player and use his assets for the better of the team instead of worrying about himself, and only him, you got to start thinking about other options. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to trade him off. Obviously not everybody, I guess, is seeing things such as the way I am seeing them. As we hear from Sacramento's general manager, Vlad Divac, saying that he loves DeMarcus Cousins, and that's all he's got to say. And obviously, there's more to the story. And obviously, Divac is more on Cousins' side when it comes to some of the stuff that we probably don't know about. That's why I'm assuming the reaction in the comment that we got. But you put George Karl to the side for a moment. Your 5th head coach, and now the 6th season. Particular incident may have been brewed up and caused because of George Karl. I don't know. Track record and the track record of DeMarcus Cousins indicates otherwise, though. But we throw that aside, there is a trend here. There's obviously something with DeMarcus Cousins that makes it impossible to get along with him, and impossible to coach him, and impossible to make this a team atmosphere. When it's all said and done, we might be able to chalk this one up on George Karl. I don't know. Don't know all the details. But you can't deny everything that's led up to this particular moment. And therefore, you can't deny that DeMarcus Cousins is not a fit there. And at some point, for the better of the organization, you need to decide when it is time to finally pull the plug on this project and get the best players in a draft pick, or players that you can possibly get out of DeMarcus Cousins before the value gets to the point that you don't really get nothing out of them. As the other GMs and the other head coaches and the other players see this and talk about this and keep this in the back of their mind, the only thing you're doing is hurting your trade value for DeMarcus Murray or DeMarcus Cousins for keeping him. And DeMarcus Cousins, the only thing you're doing is hurting your trade value or your value, period, by acting the way that you're acting. Because the more and more that everybody sees of this, the less and less you enticing. There's not a lot of head coaches or general managers that are going to be willing to jeopardize their careers. And so, I mean, there's some great pieces there. There's no reason. I mean, it was only a month ago, All-Star break, somewhere in that ballpark figure, that they were in the playoff hunt. They've gone from playoff contender a month ago to damaging any postseason hopes with these 5 straight losses. Sitting at 25-40 now. Ten straight seasons. At some point, this project's got to come to an end. The plug has got to be pulled on it. DeMarcus Cousins wants to be there when the team finally makes the playoff and get some kind of satisfaction of help taking the team from nobody to back into the playoffs. You've got to get on the same page. You've got to become. You've got to finally mature and be a team player. That's the only way that it's going to happen. Like I said, this is a prime product. Why the one and done is not, it's not what it's cracked up to be. I understand we've had our freaks of natures, our Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James has come through and not even have to step a day into college. I understand that we've had our freaks of natures and one and done and have gone on to have a very successful career. You got to think about all those other ones that never make it. And all those that have serious on-the-court or off-the-court issues because they never grew up. They never had an opportunity to grow up. As DeMarcus Murray or DeMarcus Cousins, I know that's a real big part of it. You saw how immature he was, just barely out of high school, and was on that run that they were on, and in the spotlight, and fed off the crowd. The more immature you acted on the court, the better reaction you got, and he fed off that. And you saw him constantly do immature stuff. Like I said, then you to reward him with all that, you reward him with millions of dollars in a contract to play professionally. Hey, look, we're going to pay you millions of dollars. Don't ever worry about growing up. Don't worry about ever maturing. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's why we got what we got. Oh, goodness. I see you in the studio. Are you available to talk? Or if you are, push one. I don't know if you're just hanging out and just listening at this point. I don't know what you got going on. But, yeah. kind of interesting to me. I don't know. It is funny because people don't see it. The only thing people see when we have this conversation is where we're depriving the teams out of a few years of this athlete's shelf life. And we're only cheating these athletes out of a couple years of their shelf life. Never mind that we're cheating them out of the opportunity to actually become an adult and actually learn how to be mature and responsible. Never mind we're cheating them out of an opportunity to get a degree in case they don't make it in the NBA, or help them become more educated so even if they do make it in the NBA, they know how to be responsible with that money and know how to handle that kind of money. Never mind all that. Let's just be more worried about and more focused on what we're depriving the NBA teams and what we think we're depriving them on their shelf life. I think that every time that I hear somebody talk about it, and their focus is on the shelf life for the team or the player, the only thought that goes in my mind, like, I've already tuned you out. Because my thought process is, you obviously do not care about this person at all. You have no actual true interest in if this person becomes successful or not. The only thing you're worried about is whether or not he's going to make a fast buck, or if this team is going to get the full shelf life out of this player if they draft him. Not what is in the best interest of that athlete. What we've seen statistically over the years prove itself over and over by all the players that never make it and fall to the wayside. And we're going to talk about one here in a minute. This one it rubs me really bad, and really in a wrong way. But if you're already coming at me with that whole argument, I'm already got you tuned off, because I know that you do not have that athlete's best interests in your whole PowerPoint. I look at it as, how would I want my son or my daughter treated? What would I expect out of my children? What would I explain to my children how it's going to go? I'm not one of these parents that are of the world and let my children run my household or run my life or dictate how things are going to go. You can ask either one of my children. Things go the way I feel that they should go. I raised them the way that I was raised. A way that I have never once been in trouble with the law. In a way that I know how to respect my elders, serve my country, and be a helpful impact on my community. And that is why I have two children that have never once been in trouble, no severe trouble. A daughter that's already got a year of college, or not a year, but a semester of college finished while she's now still finishing her last year of high school. AP, honor roll, a whole bunch of different after-school clubs, charities, you name it. When I look at these athletes and I see the path they choose, and when I talk about athletes, And if I had an opportunity to sit here and talk to an athlete, have them on the show, that was going through all this process right now, I would talk to them and encourage them to accomplish or to do exactly how I would have it laid out for my children. I would never encourage, don't worry about getting your degree, go to the sport early. Or don't worry about going to college, go ahead and play overseas and continue to build your name and then, make some money and then go to the NBA. Or, as soon as your eligibility is up, you got your 2 years removed from high school, go ahead and go for the NBA or NFL draft. No. I would tell them to get their education because you never know. You may never get a contract. You may only end up getting one contract. You might get paralyzed for life playing whatever sport you're playing. There's a lot of different things that are just as likely to happen as it is likely for you to make it. Actually, there's more things that are more likely to happen than you actually making it. And so if you don't come to me in a conversation or come at me with the best interest, how you would want your children to be successful and the steps that you believe, I have done tuned you out. Done. Not even worth argument. Oh, just the way I am. And I was trying to hold out to see if my special guest was going to join us. The next two topics, I kind of wanted to include them on. And so I was trying to see if my special guest was going to be ready to come on, but they've never pressed one. So I guess no. So talking about those that didn't make it. We got a couple of them that are part of this lawsuit against EA Sports. And honestly, I want to say a joke because I think it's really a shame that because you got these athletes that didn't make it, they found an opportunity to try to, and I promise you some of them, they should have went ahead and got their degree, and so they had something to fall back on, but didn't make it, and for whatever reason didn't do what they should have done to give themselves a backup plan, and jumped on this EA Sports settlement to pay these college basketball players. And I kind of have mixed emotions because, yes, I understand that they use their likeness to make money. I get that. And if y'all would have made it and went big time, the measly, at best, 15 or 20,000, I forget. And I'll break down what it would have been if everybody got paid the same, and then I'll explain why there's a little bit of difference in a variety of different, but none of them equals, I don't think it even equals a minimum wage paying jobs 1 year salary check. I mean, if I remember correctly, you're looking at about a $15,000 check is what's the most one person is going to get paid. And so this was one of those things that, to me, it's like a joke because these players are only doing it because they need the money. It's very minimum what anybody's really actually getting. And this kind of goes back to my point originally, because when I talked about Okay, I have no problem. Yes, football, college players should get paid. I fully agree. It's a job. So I agree 100%. But I also agree, okay, now you're no longer scholarship. You're paying for it. The school's paying you an income, so therefore now you pay for everything a normal college kid would. Now, if you can get grants and stuff like that, just like anybody else applied, put your income, what you're going to be making playing while you're playing your sport, if you're eligible for any kind of grants, then okay, so be it, just like everybody else, straight down the board. But I feel that if they're going to get paid, then college should no longer be free. You don't get a free ride and get paid to get a free ride. That's not how that works. Either you get a free ride or you get paid and you cover the same thing everybody else covers. Just like I have no problem with these sports happen, these games happen to pay. I don't agree in the past because, I'm sorry, just because they happen to use your last name, there's really not that much likeness to it. I mean, come on, the graphics back in the day compared to where they are now. Now they're pretty daggone realistic. So yes, I'll give you that. But honestly, we break down what it costs to make the game. Let's break down what EA Sports is going to charge for the game. Let's say $60. Now let's break that down to, hold on, EA Sports has got to get their pay. Uncle Sam's got to get their pay. The NCAA's got to get their pay. The store has got to get their pay, if it be Walmart or whatever the case may be. Then the players, you divide whatever's left, divided by all the players on the game, you get your cut. I guarantee you're talking about pennies and nickels. That's what all these people are crying over. I mean, honestly, that's what it breaks down to. Nothing more than a bunch of pennies and nickels. So I have no problem now. Now, this was a $60 million lawsuit that's covered from, and I'm pulling up the years that this lawsuit covers, but $60 million, which I think is kind of high. I think that it should be based off the games that were sold at the price minus what everybody's, the same way that I broke it down a minute ago. I think that's what it should have been, and I think they should just go back and have somebody go through all the games, find all the players, what each year that game profit, and they get their cut out of it, and that's been the end of it. I don't think there should have been a $60 million lawsuit. That it covers from 2003 to 2014. 24,819 players are eligible for payment. If everybody was to get paid evenly, this is what we're talking about, $60 million. If everybody would have got paid across the board evenly, you're talking about $2,417.50. This is what everybody's fighting over. 11 years, 24,000 players, and if it had been broken across the board evenly, you're talking about $2,400. Now, Ed O'Bannon, one of the big busts that came out and never did anything, him and a couple other players, former Rutgers quarterback Ryan Hart, former Nebraska's and Arizona State quarterback Sam Keller, leadoff plaintiffs in the case are expected to receive the biggest shares of money, which estimates $15,000. There's 21 other players that are going to be receiving approximately $5,000. So now you've done eliminated eliminated a lot of a chunk of money. Now, like I said, when I figured it out, if everybody got paid the same, you're talking $2,400. Now the percentages are starting to shift a little bit, and now what you're going to receive is changed a little bit because now there's about 25 people that are getting paid a significant amount of more than nothing worth batting any kind of sleepover, $15,000 at most. But now they're getting paid a little bit more, so now you're starting to drop that down. Also, awarded issued on a weighted scale. If a player appeared in the earlier version of the game, they will receive less money than a player who appeared later in the franchise. That's because there were more specific cities in the likeness of the player during the later version of the game. Also, the lawyers are entitled to 30% of the cut as well. So now, when we really get down to it, now a third of the money is gone. So now you're only looking at $40 million. So now we re-throw those numbers in there real quick. 40, 1, 2, 3, divide that by your 24,819 players, if they were getting across the board, it's now gone down to $1,600. All that to cause the game to increase its price that hurt the people that were playing, and really these players that, more specifically the ones in the head of the plate, the plate there, because they're bust. Now, what little we're going to remember your names because of these games, now we don't even get these games no more because, for instance, NCAA football franchise of it had to end its run in 2013 because of this lawsuit. So now, not only are you causing the game to help and fluctuate the price in the game, then you put one of the franchises out because they couldn't afford to keep paying everybody over what essentially comes down to nickels and dimes in a lawsuit that should never even been able to really go to this level. Like I said, what they should have done and what they needed to do is get what it cost, the profits, where all the money went to everybody, and figure out what was left, and then break that across all the players for 2003 version, 2004 version, and so that everybody got their cut. I guarantee the nonsense and the 5-cent checks that they sent out to all these players each year, I guarantee that will stop all these stupid lawsuits on these players. Come on. Just be honored that, one, a game took an opportunity to include you into a game. But two, more specifically, that they spent so much detail on you that you look as realistic as you do on the game. Yes, I agree you should get a royalty check. But let's be realistic on what that check, what we should expect that check to be like. When you break everything down, it don't matter if it's football, it don't matter if it's basketball, it don't matter if it's baseball. Every player, if they are used, deserves to get their pay. I don't care how much of a high-profile name or how low of a name you are. If you are on there, you should be treated as equal. There's no above and more because of no. That's when you now you have legitimate complaints on stuff. I think that's part of the issue is you get these big-headed players that think, well, my name should hold more weight because it don't matter. Joe Smith should get paid just as much as Jane Doe. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Your stats, your likeness, your name, your team, everything is used just as equally across the board. It don't matter how good you are or how bad you are. It is all the details put into it. So if there's only $5 left in the pot per game, you divide it across the 25,000 players evenly, and that's where you go with it. I'm sorry, that's just the way you go. And like I said, I don't have a problem with you feeling that you deserve some of the royalties. But let's be realistic on how much should really be left and how much you should get paid. This goes all back to my original point. You'd worry about that education. You worry about getting that degree. Instead of worrying about, you know what, my scouts, some of these teams, I didn't even have to listen to them, and circle of life, people. The circle of life. Makes no sense. I don't know. It's funny because the longer I do this, and the more and more that I try to understand athletes, the less and less I understand. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but it's almost being like a woman. The more and more I try to understand, and the more and more I think I understand, the less and less I actually understand. And it's going to be that way with athletes. The more and more I think that I understand, and I finally got it figured out, till you have another athlete that just does something off the wall. And it blows my mind. Just in, former Rams defensive end Chris Long will sign a one-year deal with the New England Patriots. I guess that didn't take them long to replace Chandler there. So I guess they already had a game plan on that one. It's all about protecting Tom Brady. Of course, Tom Brady wants to play for another good few hand. Oh, goodness. I don't know. It's funny. It'll all get figured out one day. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, goodness. Don't forget, make sure you guys check out the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, make sure you check out the Racing with Big Sweat Thursday nights at 9 p.m. as well. Also, we got the Dirt Talk Hour Sunday nights. 9 p.m. is just our time. We love it. 9 p.m. Rubbin' is Racing, 7 p.m. There you go. On Monday nights. And then also we got the Happy Hour Garage, noon on Saturday. Make sure you guys check that out as well. A lot of great shows, a lot of great things going on. A lot of great guests. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, you can check me out on Twitter at CJSports1. You check out the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also, make sure you check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com for all the latest, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Also, check out our company site, www.the110nation.com for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Oh, I still can't believe I lost it. That just cracks me up. I don't. Should have just got your degree and done what you're supposed to do, people. I don't. I don't get it. I honestly, truly, We've gotten we've just gotten so accustomed to trying to do the easy way and be lazy. That's all it's mounted to. is people trying to be lazy. Why stay here for 4 years when I can do it in 1 year? I don't. It's laziness. And unfortunately, here in America, it just gets worse and worse. Oh, my God. We complain that we have no jobs, but yet we outsource them all to China. We're sending all the jobs over to China. It's really simple. Tired of paying high fuel prices. I mean, now it's not so bad. $1.85 in my area. Between $1.75, $1.85. You want to know how to make it even cheaper? How about we quit paying everybody else for the same thing we have underneath America? I mean, we sit on the largest natural resource of oil. I mean, it blows my mind how lazy we are. Not only do we not dig our own oil, and we wouldn't have to borrow money from nobody. Like, we would be self-sufficient. We would be rich, just like all these countries that do this oil. Not only would we have jobs if we just weren't so lazy and wanted everybody else to make everything for us, but what about the obesity rate? Good God. And we are so lazy in so many aspects of life. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. And then you get an opportunity to go to college, get an opportunity to go for free and get a degree. And instead of doing that, you take a chance and leave early. Have a chance to have a career. Have a chance to get drafted. Have a chance to live one contract. I mean, I know all the possibilities, and I know it can be rewarding. And if you're one of those few that make it, it is very rewarding. But for those that can't handle it or those that don't make it, I can remember growing up in a generation that from the minute we got done with our homework until the minute the light poles came on, you were outside. The only exception to the rule in my house is you couldn't be out in the rain, and that was not our choice. That's the time we wanted to be outside, the most. Granted, I grew up in the great state of Ohio, so it wasn't extreme hot, the extreme heat of some of these places, like Florida and Georgia and, dry heat, Arizona. And so I understand that, it was a little bit easier, but my father, we didn't run air conditioning. That was his way to make sure that we were going outside. It's just school outside, if not cooler, because the breeze is going versus inside. You might want to go outside. My father's house there, we didn't have to come in the street light. We lived out in the middle of the country. That's when things got interesting. That's when the lightning boats came out. That's when we got to do the late night activities. Mom and stepdad in the city, it was the street lights. And believe me, it wasn't because we wanted to come inside. That just was the rule. Now it's almost impossible to get kids to go outside. All these video games. All these players. See, look, all these players contributing to all these kids getting fat. Because they're getting paid to be part of these games. That then, therefore, makes the kids want to sit there and just get fat in front of a TV. Say it. Circle of life, people. Circle of life. It absolutely, positively blows my mind how lazy people are. When I separated from the mother of my child, I had to fight it for 3 weeks, 10 miles each way. Granted, a lot of times on the way back, I didn't have the bike, and I would find a ride back. It was only one morning in 3 weeks that I did not bike, and that was because my neighbor felt bad because it was raining, and he asked me if he wanted me to take him. I didn't ask nobody. And honestly, if I'd have known that it was going to stop sprinkling a few minutes later, I would have went ahead and just went, but I didn't know, and so I took the ride. You have no idea how many people said, you know what, if that was me, I would have quit. There's no way that I would have biked it. The first time I was going to walk it, this was months before my car broke down. I'd have never made it in one time. I thought, honestly, I could walk it in like 2 hours. It took me an hour and 20 minutes to bike it. I was not walking it in 2 hours. Luckily, someone had picked me up, saw me, and I was walking on the side of the road. That was the first time someone said I would have walked there. I would have. I walked a good half of it, 5 miles of it at least. But that was the first time someone was like, I would have called out. I don't call out stuff like this. You'll hardly ever have a boss of mine say, I ever called out. I had a walking stick, couldn't even move, was on morphine patches, Percocets, drinking on the job, and had something else that I was taking. Could not move. My back was so messed up for 2 weeks. Still did not miss a word. It took me like 10 minutes to turn my alarm clock off and had went into a sweat and had to crawl out of the bed to turn the alarm clock off. When Shorty and I lived on the other side of town, it was to walk home. It was about an hour, 15 minutes. If it was any pass through the neighborhood, it would have made it a really quick walk. It probably would have been like 45 minutes, maybe an hour pushing, probably 45 minutes. But there was no shortcut. It was walk straight down one way, and then make a left-hand turn and walk straight down that way, to make a right-hand turn and walk straight. There was no shortcut. I wasn't thrilled about it. And Shorty would make more of a point to go out of her way to get me a ride or find a ride more times than I would ask for people for rides until the very end of it. And then I had a couple regulars, but they came in just to make sure that I needed a ride. And it was just kind of one of those things we swapped off drink per ride kind of situation. But for the longest time, if I didn't have a ride, you're going to have Shorty. A lot of times I just walked. I didn't even, hey, find me a ride. I just walked. It was what it was. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get home from work. It blows my mind to see how many people, the reaction, and how many people that I've talked to that if it would have been them, they would have just went jobless versus making sure they found a way to work. A lot of sacrifices made. There was a lot of mornings that Shorty had to get up at 4:30 in the morning. There was mornings that she was getting in bed from her job at 3 o'clock in the morning, turn around and get up at 4:30 in the morning to go take me to work. I mean, granted, it was 5 minutes there and 5 minutes back. Not that big of a deal, but after only having an hour and a half worth of sleep, with her being a person that needs sleep, good 10 hours a day, it was rough. But she did it. She never complained about it. Did it every Friday or Saturday, Sunday morning if it needed to be done, or whatever mornings that it needed to be done. And to see us now, people now, not us as in her and I, and how lazy people are. That's like everybody that has worked for us. They like the idea of working. They like the idea of having a job that pays a little bit above minimum wage. We start off at $8 an hour. It's not a lot, but I mean, it's above minimum wage. They like the idea of making money. They don't like the idea of working. It blows my mind beyond belief how lazy people are in every aspect. Like I said, I couldn't imagine having an opportunity to go to college. I'm still paying on college loans, and I still had I only had 2 or 3 classes left, and I would have had my associates in business management. Kicked myself in the butt, and now I'm still paying years later, and I didn't finish. And it really kicked myself in the butt because I was just stupid and didn't think about the fact, you know what? I need to use my GI Bill that I'm getting every month to go ahead and pay these college loans And instead, I just used it as, wow, we just have like two incomes, or I think maybe that time we even had 3 incomes. I can't remember when my ex actually worked. She worked like 2 out of 13 years. I can't remember if that was that point. But, you know, we were enjoying at least I think I was working 2 jobs. Even a matter of fact, I was working 2 jobs myself and going to school and just raising a young baby at that point in time. I really think myself was glad not used the GI Bill the way it should have used it, paying that off. But I couldn't imagine having the opportunity to go to school for 4 years for free and complain about it. Oh my God, I don't get paid, even though I'm getting $30,000 or $50,000 worth of it, depending on where they go, of free education and free boarding and all this stuff, and all I got to do is play a sport and potentially be a professional athlete and get a degree at the same time. Oh my God, I can't handle this. I should get paid too. Come on, I couldn't imagine. I guess that's why it blows my mind that people are that lazy, that they want the shortcut. I guess why I got a lot of respect for the young kid in Oklahoma. The fact that he came back, he had an opportunity. I know a lot of it had to do with it. He wasn't projected to go as high as he really wanted to be projected to go, and knew that another year in college would probably help that. I understand that had a good part, I'm not going to lie, but I do like the fact that he went ahead and decided to spend another year in college and to better himself and help him mature. And I'm glad that he did realize that, you know what, I'm not quite ready. I need a little more time. And so I'm glad for that. I got a caller in the studio. Is my caller ready to come on yet? Okay. Who knows? Cleveland, kill me. I'm not even talking about the Browns. Cavaliers, after it looked like they finally started turning things back around in the other direction, you lose to Utah last night. I mean, not that Utah is this horrible team or something, but it's Utah. It's a game that you were supposed to win, and you couldn't do it. Kind of disappointed. Kind of honestly surprised. Good game going on right now is the Vanderbilt playing. Wichita State is up 25-23 with about 3 minutes left in the first. For those that are waiting for these games to finish up so they can finish looking at how they think their bracket's going to go. Nice close game, though, so that you guys tune into that and check that out as well. Don't forget, we got our very own NHL expert joining us here at 10:30. Got some topics. We'll talk about the NWHL, the NCAA playoff race, and some other NHL hot topics going on. So make sure you guys check that out and stay hanging around until 10:30 when Izzo joins the house. Got one more big topic that I want to talk about. I was hoping that my special guests, they told me at 10:05 they would be ready to go, and so I knew a quick walk in and walk out of Walmart would take longer than that allotted time. So really not surprised. But I see my special guest is finally decided that they are ready. We've got a guest that is joining us for about the next, 15, 20 minutes, possibly, maybe, who knows, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, who knows. We'll see how long we can tolerate each other in the studio. Been on the show many times. As a matter of fact, we had a show together for, I don't know, maybe in all of about 2 weeks. Gone on many road trips together, gone to a couple races. We've been to Kentucky Speedway together. We've been to Miami Homestead Speedway together. I think that's the only 2 tracks we've actually been together. Gone to the Chip Canassie Sound Garage event a couple times together. So we've been around each other, around the block with each other a few times and doing some cool sporting things. But without any further delay, co-host of the CJ and the Shorty Show, we have Shorty in the studio. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fabulous tonight, and I'm still at Walmart, but I didn't want you to miss out on me, so I called you. I promise I am in the rug aisle where nobody goes, and it will be quiet other than the slight little bit of music in the background from the pharmacy.
Slight little music. More than slight.
Oh, you can hear it? Okay, I'll find somewhere else. I'll go to the fishing aisle. Nobody wants to go there. So, what was this topic that we were going to talk about?
There was an interesting topic that came out today, and obviously this is not his only vehicle, but Sly Lynn is one of those athletes that has hold on his just making a lot of noise.
I did not catch that.
I know you didn't catch that because you were making all kinds of racket.
I wasn't making racket. It was breaking up. I have full signal, so it's not me.
But
one more time, Mr. CJ.
Kawhi Leonard is one of those few players that has not traded in a vehicle that he had before his day. Among its revelation is the fact that Leonard still drives a beat-up 1997 Chevy Tahoe. Now, Leonard is probably right now the best player on the San Antonio Spurs and is probably easily top 5 player in the NBA right now, has a very lucrative contract, and obviously he's got other rides. But it's interesting to always hear about athletes that have still held on to, that beater car that they had before they made it. And his reason behind it, it still runs and it's paid off. So this got me thinking a little bit earlier today, and I kind of had to take a trip down memory lane. Now, my memory lane is going to have to go a little bit back farther than your memory lane. But let's say, for hypothetical states, we know for the next 5 years we got $20 million a year coming in, and that we're guaranteed at least this next 5-year contract. We're guaranteed to see about $100 million over the next 5 years. So we can do whatever we want, buy whatever we want, whatever the case may be. Spend it how we want to spend it, just like we would if we was an athlete. What one car that you had prior to this day, us winning, you winning your $100 million, or me winning my $100 million, I'm going to do this example as well. What one car that if you had it today and you had won, and knowing that you're getting $100 million over the next 5 years, would you still hold on, that had enough sentimental reason that you would still drive around and you would still hold on to?
Well, I'd have to say the car I'm driving right now. I don't really have any sentimental value behind, the car. That was the first car that, me and you kind of actually bought together. So that would be the sentimental, reasoning behind it. But I would hold on to that.
Now,
I love my car.
So the listeners
makes my butt warm.
Makes your butt warm. So the listeners know what exactly you're talking about. What is your car that you currently drive? Because I'm right now the only one that knows what you drive.
It is a Nissan Murano. and the seats are heated. That's why it makes my butt warm.
Now, I had to kind of to go over vehicles that I've had throughout the years. My first car was a 75 Pella Supreme. It had a hole in the trunk where the exhaust was, right above the exhaust, so there was a tabletop trying to block the exhaust coming in. There was a hole in the floorboard, the driver's side floorboard, so the only time that I locked the keys in the car, all I do was reach underneath the car and reach up and grab the keys out of the steering column. There was a boom box in the back seat for my radio. But I tell you what, that sucker would fly 110 miles an hour. My grandma said there was one time, I didn't know this until later on, when my mom said that she wouldn't allow my brothers to ride with me because your grandma informed me that one time when she was on I-75 that you blew by her like she was going backwards, reverse. And then I moved on to a Pontiac 6000. Then I joined the military, and I got screwed out of my first used vehicle, a Pontiac, what was it? Sunbird, Sunbird, and it was a decent car. But then I think the car that if I had to go back to would be a 1999 Grand Am. It was probably the newest car that I ever bought. It was the first one I actually bought off a full-size car lot. The car before that, the one I got screwed, was some little used car limit lot thing that I got screwed over. But when I bought the Grand Am, I bought it at a Ford dealership, but it barely had any miles on it. I want to say maybe 20,000 on it. It was the newest car that I ever bought. It was the first time that I ever bought it. And there you go. I got to mute you because there's way too much noise. It's over top of me. While having this car, I remember one night sitting at a light that it was kind of a flashing light, and the red flashed our way, and the yellow was flashing the other way, and the other way was the main road. And I remember it was kind of slightly foggy, but not really. And I remember a car made a left-hand turn in front of a semi right at the intersection. And the semi slammed into the back of the car, and I get into the fetal position in the driver's seat because I'm assuming that this semi is going to project this car into my car. It comes within inches of my car, but it throws all the glass that got busted out in the windshields and the windows into my car. And so then, long story short, I ended up getting a $5,000 check to take care of that, which all I did was pay everything off, had a few $1,000s in the bank, and just rolled with it. And then, after getting it paid off and getting a better job, I'm going across Fort Bragg, and I come over this hill, and the other direction, they kind of come over a hill, so we're kind of coming into like a U-shaped, bowl or whatever. And it just rained earlier in the day, and the light had turned green, and the cars in the very front were trying to make left-hand and right-hand turns, and Bragg had blocked all that off, and you could only go straight. Well, the car's coming over the hill, going regular speed. You don't see the light, plus it's already green, so you're assuming that everybody is, going up to speed instead of everybody just stop, waiting for these cars to turn. And I watched this car slam on his brakes, and because the road was wet, it slides, and it bounces off probably about 10 cars, comes across the grass. I was in the left lane at that point. I switched over to the right lane, and it ends up hitting my front tire and stopped. I get out. MP show up. I'm like, you know what? Do I really got to stay? He's like, yeah, you're a witness. And as I'm standing there, I realize that I have my left wheel facing forward and my right wheel to the right. And that's when 2 and 2 is put together that my front axle had snapped. This car that I had paid off not too many months before that. I would want to say probably 6 months at most before that. Now is totaled out. Car that I bought from a dealer. This is all the things this is the reason why if I today had that car, that would probably still be the car that I would have and hold on to until the day that it finally died. just because that was the first car not only that I bought from a real dealership, the first car that I bought from, that barely had any miles on it, and it was really the first big purchase that I paid off. Even though that first car got screwed in the interest rate, it still wasn't to the value of what the Grand Am ended up costing me new. Plus, it was a Grand Am, and that was like right after the Grand Am. And I'm gonna try plugging you back in. Hopefully, your all the background noise is gone.
I'm at the checkout right this second.
Gotcha. That would be the reason why I hold on. Like I said, it was right when the Grand Am came out. That new, that and the Grand Prix came out with the new body style, and those were some top-looking cars to have. They were just cool, and so I had to have one. And it was a car that had a spoiler and everything else. And I don't know, growing up, I was always one that liked spoilers on cars. I just did. But it's just really cool to see athletes that that just because they have money, because they have opportunity to go buy things, they still cherish the old things. I still would even have respect, even if he didn't drive it, but he gave it to a family member to use, or say gave it to charity, that maybe fixed it up if there was anything that needed to be fixed up repair-wise, and gave it to somebody, an opportunity. I mean, I think right now with the ride situation, my truck sitting still at Shorty's house because I never got it towed where I'm at now, and the fact that she gave me her car, that it is just, everything's just falling apart. We're just waiting for it to finally out. I would love to take the 97 Tahoe, or it's a Suburban, or I think it was a Tahoe. I would be, Tahoe. I would be happy with it. The truck that I got to get fixed is only a 98 Silverado, so, I mean, it's right there, it's the same year, probably all the same motor and everything else. So, I mean, even if he did something like that, to that way someone else had an opportunity, instead of just throwing it to the dump or, ragging it or something else just because you had the money. It's really cool to have those stories, and it's really cool to be able to hear about it and I guess it helps, gives you a better idea of really the character of a player. Leonard spends his summers in a 2-bedroom apartment in San Diego where he hangs a mini hoop over one door so he can play 21 against Cattleberry. He carries a basketball in his backpack even when he isn't going to the gym. He often drives his rehab 97 Chevy Tahoe, nicknamed Gas Guzzler, which he drove across Southern Cal Inland Empire as a teenager. It runs, Leonard explains, and it's paid off. Like I said, it's just really cool because you see so many athletes. You see so many athletes that just get away from reality and get away from just being down to earth, and it the ingredients, the items, everything else, it just ends up getting the best of them.
I feel like that is him keeping that car just shows, not everybody gets changed. Not everybody changes when they become this big famous star, I suppose you would call it.
I'll myself, I got a 90 Silverado. I always told myself that if I won, I wouldn't be one of those guys. First of all, I don't understand why athletes in the stars don't buy it. You can never drive them all, but I would never go out and get ridiculous with it. I think probably the most that I would go spend on something, and the most extreme I would go, is I would just buy the newest Silverado truck. Like, I really still love those trucks, and that's probably the most that I would go. I would buy I don't know, I really love the Malibu too. I was thinking I would probably buy a fuel-sufficient car, family car, like the Malibu, and then I would probably buy myself a brand-new Silverado truck, and that's probably what, the extent. I just can't see myself spending the money on these Mercedes, and you were making a lot of noise. That's why I had to cut you back off. So, yeah, I disconnected her. Whatever you was doing, unloading the cart or whatever it was, the microphone was rubbing everything, and all you heard was a bunch of static and rubbing and stuff. But I'll plug you back on. But it was just, I had to mute you because there was too much noise. But that's like the extent of what I would do. I just can't see buying all these high-priced cars that you're paranoid that driving anywhere and paranoid that it's going to get weathered and everything else. It's just insane.
Or get a scratch.
Yeah, I mean, people cars. Like I don't have. What really kills me is those that go out and spend all their money on their cars and have these nice cars and then live in these dumps. Like I would rather live in a nice house and have nice things and live comfortable and have a crappy car than having these nice expensive cars and then not having nothing at home, no food, a little crap box TV, stiff plastic couches or whatever the case may be. I'm the exact opposite. I want the nice couch and the nice TV and the surround sound and the nicer things, and I just want a car that's going to get me from point A to point B, and that's all I'm really worried about. Now, if I can have both, then yes, both.
I know a guy that pays almost $1,000 on a car payment every freaking month, and it makes no sense to me at all because I mean, the rent that you pay in your house is less than your car payment. Like, I lived in a 2-story house, with this person. The rent was $800, and his car payment was almost $1,000. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And so, why are you trying to have a nicer, not even a nicer car? I mean, the house was really nice, but why would you pay $900 a month on a car and you only paid $800 for your house? Upgrade your house, not your car.
I wouldn't pay that kind of money nowhere close to that kind of money for a car, period. Regardless how much my house was. I'm sorry, I just not. So, and that kind of money, that's crazy. Anyway, we got Izzo joining us here. He's in the studio, so get ready to plug him in. I wanted to thank you for jumping on here and make your voice heard. I know you're off tomorrow night, so hopefully maybe we'll get you on and we'll get you on for an extended period tomorrow night and hanging out with us.
Definitely. I would definitely like that. I plan on doing some things on my to-do list tomorrow, so I should be home not doing anything but my to-do list.
Gotcha.
Yes, I made a to-do list.
Well, I'm going to get you out. We'll get you out of here so we can get Izzo into the studio and get into the block of the hockey talk. But looking forward to having you back tonight.
Well, puck you too.
All right. All right, so we got Izzo, our NHL expert, joining us. Looking forward to getting into all these hot topics. Don't forget you check out the 110 Nation sports show Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Also check out Rubbin' is Racing Monday night, 7 p.m. Racing with Big Sweat. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Happy Hour Grind, noon at 12. And then, of course, the Dirt Talk Hour, 9 p.m. Sunday night. A lot of great shows. Make sure you guys tune in. But without any further delay, studio, how are you doing tonight, Izzo?
I'm doing pretty good. It's nice to be back up in Northwest Pennsylvania for a little bit. So good night of hockey tonight. Just got done watching the Pens play. Beat the Islanders in a shootout 2-1 today. So it's been a pretty productive day, Jay.
Sounds like it. How was the trip?
The trip was long and boring, just like most trips are when you're traveling by yourself. But made it home safe and, packing up the house, getting ready to head to Texas here in a couple weeks. So we'll be doing the show from up here in PA, and then pretty soon we'll be Houston-bound and representing the 110 Nation down in Texas.
You know what? It's it's funny because I don't know what routes you travel, but when I would go to Ohio, I go to the Turnpike. So, of course, on the way up there, obviously Ohio's the last part for me, and then coming back North Carolina, obviously the last part. And it's funny because those, to me, are the two most boring states to drive through in the particular sections that I have to drive in. Like West Virginia, in Virginia, you got the mountains, you got the turnpike, you got everything going on. But when I get to Ohio, it's like nothing but cornfields and trees. And the same thing when you're coming back to North Carolina, there's nothing but like pine trees and cornfields. And it's horrible because both of them I'm supposed to be excited, and I finally get excited. I think I get excited when I get ready to get off of off of 40 to get on the 421 when I'm in Greensboro, head towards Sanford, and then when I'm in Ohio, when I jump on, when I get on the other side of Columbus, when I get off 33, get on 70, and I just get through Columbus, and I know that I'm about 45 minutes from being to the house. It finally gets better. Not that it gets much better. There's still nothing to look at, but it just amazed me because I'm supposed to be excited, and those two states, when I'm getting to the other end of it, I'm dreading it, and it kills me every time. But got some trips coming up myself. I'm looking forward to getting them back north. I contacted my mom, and either we're going to meet or about once a month or so, month-ish or so. I'm going to try to make a trip up there to see family. So I'm going to be up in those neck of the woods as well here soon. So looking forward to that. But we didn't bring you on to talk about North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, or none of that. We got you on here to talk some hockey tonight. So before we jump into this, I want to give you an opportunity to let the puckheads out there know how to get a hold of you on Twitter.
Well, you can get a hold of me at 110 Puckhead. Haven't been on there lately since I've been traveling, but I should be back on tomorrow. So shoot me a tweet. We had the general managers meeting this past week, so there should be some pretty exciting news here coming soon about the expansion draft or the expansion of the league and everything like that. So shoot me a tweet at 110 Puckhead, man. Let's talk some puck.
Now speaking of, before you jump in there, everything, are they still deciding? I ain't kept up with it. Are they still deciding, or have we got an actual destination where the next two teams are going to be?
Well, they don't have. They haven't really decided anything right now. They did meet this past weekend, and most of the talk this weekend was talking about the coaches' challenge and reviews and everything like that. They will be installing cameras on top of the blue line and on the bottom of the boards on the blue line in each respective zone and everything to make these coaches' reviews for like offsides and stuff a lot easier for the refs in the war room up in Toronto to really make a conclusive call about a particular play. So they have been talking about how the expansion draft will work if they do decide to expand the league. They're still unsure if it's going to be one team or two. I'm thinking we might just have one team come in, and everybody seems to be following that route right now. So we could get two teams in the expansion. We could get one, but from what I've been reading and catching up on and everything, I think we're just going to see one. And the clear front runners right now are Quebec and Las Vegas. So we could see one team or two teams coming into the league here very soon. But most of these general managers meetings have been covering certain rule changes that might be coming up, coaches' challenges, and if they do decide to expand the league, how they're going to work the expansion draft and, make sure everybody's going to be cool and everything with that, especially with rosters going to be shuffling around if there is an expansion. So that was primarily the meetings of this past weekend, and I do believe that they met today or they're meeting tomorrow. So we should be getting to pretty close to a definitive answer here pretty soon. I imagine they would make an announcement before the playoffs start here in a couple weeks because we're down to the last 15 to 17 games for all the teams in the league right now. So that's pretty much been the main focus, is that if they are going to have an expansion in the league, that they're going to go over provisions on how the expansion draft is going to work and everything and how it's going to affect each team, Jay.
Oh, Cool. Sounds like that was a pretty eventful meeting and a very informative meeting there.
Well, yeah, they were in the meeting room for a couple hours. Like I said, the Coaches Challenge is one of the biggest rule changes that we've had in the game of hockey in recent years and everything. Discussions of making the goals bigger or small, making the goals bigger, making goalie pads smaller. That's another topic of discussion in these general manager meetings right now, and a few other small rule changes and stuff like that. So everybody, all the general managers seem pretty okay with the Coaches Challenge and the way it's been working. There's a few kinks and, spots to work out and everything for it being brand new in the league right now. So most of the general managers feel pretty comfortable with the Coaches Challenge. I think they want to try and broaden the horizon on what coaches can challenge and what coaches can't challenge. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what comes out of these next couple general managers meetings as the months go by into the off season. So we could be looking at a few new rules for next season, and we could be seeing a couple more teams joining the league, Jay.
That's cool. Obviously, it's always great to see the sport expanding and knowing that it can handle the expansion and providing more competitive teams and a better market. So it's just cool to see that.
Yeah, it's with the NHL having an anniversary next year, the 100th anniversary of the NHL. Gary Bettman has made a lot of provisions to try and make next year's outdoor games pretty legit. So you have Detroit and Toronto going to play up in Canada at a soccer field. I think it's the BMI Stadium. They're going to be playing that. It is also going to be the 100-year anniversary for the Toronto Maple Leafs as an organization. So that's pretty cool to see. And then at Heinz Field, you're going to have the Flyers coming to Pittsburgh and skate against the Penguins at Heinz Field, which will be pretty cool. Last time Pittsburgh had an outdoor game was against the Capitals in the Winter Classic, which didn't go too well for Pittsburgh that year. So a lot of cool games coming up next year for the Winter Classic and the Stadium Outdoor Series, and just going to be a big year all around. We got the World Cup coming in, for the 100th anniversary of the NHL. You got all these outdoor games, and, now playoffs are a couple weeks away.
Still there?
So going into I'm sorry about that. Going into topics tonight, really cool. I finally got to actually see an NWHL game. We had the Cup Finals for the Women's Professional League. The Boston Pride swept the Buffalo Buttes in a best-of-3 series to win the inaugural Isobel Cup. MVP of the playoffs was Brianna Decker. Game 2, she had 2 goals with 1 assist. They played this game at the Prudential practice facility where the Devils practice and that. So it was pretty good. They got they have the game televised, so I was able to catch that and watch that. Anybody who's been paying attention to the NWHL, the Boston Pride team had the girl Brianna Lang have that serious spinal injury. The cool thing is after these girls won the cup, they rode back to Boston to the hospital to go celebrate with Lang and everything like that. So it was pretty cool to see pictures up on Twitter and Facebook and the website for the Women's League and everything like that. Glad to see that she's doing good, and glad to see that she got a cup ring, regardless if she got to play or not. This is sort of reminiscent to the, I want to say the 97 Red Wings team when Vladimir Konstantinov was in a bad car accident, was paralyzed, and the Red Wings went on to win the Stanley Cup. They brought him out on the ice and set the cup on his lap. So really reminiscent to that. So it was really cool to see, the teammate, your teammates coming in when you're, out, on injury reserve, or in this case, a severe injury which ended your career, ended the career way too early for this young woman. So it was really cool to see that. It was really cool to see, an actual playoff game for the Women's League. Boston ended the season with 10 straight wins to win the Cup, which was pretty impressive in my book. Finishing the season 18-3-0. So I feel that these girls, really did a heck of a job. Trying to get 10 straight wins in the game of hockey is not easy by any feat, regardless if it's the men's league or the women's league. So congratulations to the Boston Pride, and I think we got a pretty decent product here for what the NWHL is putting out right now. So hopefully we get to see a few more teams join the league in the off season or probably next season. So it'll be an exciting time next year.
Is there any talk of next year it's expanding, or are we just still looking at the same 4 teams as of right now going into the next season?
Well, right now we're looking at the same 4 teams. There have been a few talks. Talks have been tried to be held and everything like that with some of the Canadian professional teams and everything like that. So I don't see a very slim chance for this league to expand by next season, especially so late into the actual hockey year itself. So maybe within the next year or so we might see another 2 teams come in. We could see another maybe 4 come in and everything. So, the original 6 in the NHL, was around for forever, and the first expansion didn't happen until, 1967. So, we don't want to see that for the women and everything like that, because I feel if that happens, if they stay with 4 teams for a couple of years, it's just going to lose steam, which is something that they can't really afford. They're trying to put out a decent product and trying to get people interested, and I think this past year really proved that these girls can play hockey. They can play a very good game of hockey and make it quite entertaining for the fans. So no really definitive answers yet on expansion, Jay.
My next question is, okay, say it takes a minute to get to a point like the NHL did with the expansion. Are these 4 teams good enough to hold enough of an interest for sponsors, marketing, and everything else that has to be in line? Can these 4 teams hold enough interest until they are ready for an expansion?
That's a very good question, Jay. I feel that they do have enough talent to make themselves even better known, especially going into the next year, because I think it'll run a lot smoother and everything like that. Most of these girls that are playing in this league, they've had the experience in the international and the collegiate levels. So these girls are well known. You know what I'm saying? It's you can pick out a face and everything. Like, hey, you played for Team USA, or you played for Boston College, or they're recognizable and everything like that. And I think that the group of women that are in this league now, being mostly, made up of national teams and collegiate teams, I feel that they do have a fighting chance to keep this going and keep it going in the right direction. And, hopefully, like I said, within the next 2 years, we can hopefully see another 2, at least 1 more team, maybe 2 more teams. So no definitive answer yet, but I do believe that they do have enough fire in the oven to, really expand this and make something really great out of it.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, because I like having the opportunity to, when it comes to female sports, and it's not take anything away from their talent, but I view male versus female in the aspect of males have the talent, but women have the hearts. And we're not going to see, in prime example, in the NBA, we're not going to see, the dunks and the alley-oops and everything that we see in the NBA and the WNBA. But what we see in hearts and what we do see in the athletic capabilities they do have makes up for the lack of what we're going to see. And the same thing with hockey. We're not going to see the same thing that we've seen out of Jaromir Jagr and Patrick Kane and everything else, but the heart that these ladies put into this and the dedication that they give to this sport way outweighs what they're lacking compared to the NHL, and makes it worth watching it and makes you want to tune in and support what you're supporting. And I love that this is going to be one of the sports that's going to stick around, and we're going to have an opportunity to see more and more talented females show their love and dedication for the sport.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the girls that are in this league right now, I would give a handful of them a shot. They could probably make an NHL team. They have, some of these girls have so much talent. It's not even funny. Hillary Knight, who's on the Boston team, has been an Olympian. Played a vital role all throughout this season. You know, she was just really comfortable, you know, with the international play and everything. The rink's a lot bigger. There's a lot more space. With the rink that these girls are playing on is like an NHL size rink, so there's not much space when you're playing 5-on-5 and everything like that. So I really do. They think they showcased what they have, and I think they really made a statement. And you know, catching the highlights of the playoffs and, you know, the Cup final and everything, I was fairly impressed. Some of these girls get some really good talent and everything. So I think they're going to showcase it in a manner that, you know, hey, they're here to stay, Jay, and they want to play hockey, and they can play hockey just as well as the men can.
Gotcha. I see we have some college hockey playoff races and stuff going on. What we got going on over there?
Well, right now we got all the conferences right now going through conference championships and everything like that. So this is kind of an exciting time. This is kind of like, you know, the same thing at college basketball. The Frozen Four is going to be held between April 7th and April 9th, and the national championship bracket will be announced within the next week and a half or so. So you got 6 auto qualifiers that'll get bids to the dance, and then 10 at-large bids that got to be handed out for the tournament. So got a lot of good teams going on right now with the top 10, and with the college hockey. North Dakota sits atop at number 1. They're 35-3. They represent the NCHC. Quinnipiac is number 2 at 27-3-7. Representing the ECAC. Providence comes in at number 3, 27-5-4, representing Hockey East. St. Cloud State, 29-8-1 from the NCHC. Boston College coming in. Denver coming in after that. That school up north comes after Denver. So got a lot of good teams, a lot of good college hockey. So most of these guys in the top 10. With UMass Lowell, Harvard, and Yale rounding out the top 10, I foresee most of these teams making the big dance. Michigan is actually having quite a good year right now, especially with the lineup that they have. North Dakota has just been tearing up the NCHC so far this year. So we got a lot of conference championships being decided this week and next week. Or this week into the weekend into next week, so we should be looking forward to seeing what the polls are going to be like and what the bracket's going to be like. So, a lot of good, exciting hockey getting ready to come up in the college ranks and everything like that. So, really paying close attention to it. I was following Penn State. As we all know, Penn State got invited into the Big Ten recently, so they're no longer a club team; they're a school-sponsored team. So it was really cool. They cracked in the top 20 at number 19, I do believe, in the latest poll. So it's kind of cool to see Penn State get a hockey team, and they actually do quite well. So your Buckeyes weren't doing too well. They got a lot of underclassmen this year. Really kind of like a learning curve, rebuilding the script for Ohio State right now. So I'm looking to see Ohio State do some pretty good damage within the next 2 to 3 years with the young roster that they have coming up there. So a lot of good schools, man. A lot of good schools. North Dakota is definitely going to make, I feel, is going to make the Frozen Four. St. Cloud State over the last 4 or 5 years have made a pretty big hoorah in the Frozen Four and everything like that. Quinnipiac, they're another big-time college hockey school, always doing pretty well. Providence. So it's going to be a pretty exciting thing to watch. Like I said, times and dates are going to be released here for the big tournament within the next couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to it, Jay.
Me too. I love watching this time of year, especially with all these different sports in their conference championships, and you know, all this leading up to the overall champion. Same thing going on with basketball right now, and it's a very exciting time to see all this going on.
Yeah, this is my version of March Madness. I mean, I do kind of peek at the basketball, but when it comes to this time, I'm usually watching Hockey East and everything like that. So, got a local school from up here, Robert Morris University, and they are actually in and the Atlantic Conference and everything like that. So I'm looking forward to them. Hopefully they can maybe snag one of those at-large bids if they can win the conference championship. I do believe Air Force, RIT, and Army West Point are the last other 3 teams in that conference tournament right now. So that's pretty cool to see. And I'm just kind of peeking in and seeing what other kind of exciting college hockey I can get right now. Like you said, I love watching college sports. College hockey is just, another one of them sports just to watch them guys, try and make something of themselves without getting any, anything in return, These guys are just doing it just because of the love of the game, the love of the school and, just the pride and everything like that. So this is where, class and style of play go up exponentially. You know how it is in college basketball. You see a lot of close games and everything like that. A lot of, gripping the couch or gripping the chair or whatever you're sitting on or squeezing the remote, watching the game and everything. So it's pretty cool and exciting to watch. And like I said, they're finishing up all the conference championships and everything, which should be over by the end of next week. And we're going to get a pretty decent bracket. And I'm looking forward to see who's going to hoist that NCAA trophy at the end of the year.
Definitely excited about that, and I'm definitely curious to see who raises that trophy as well.
So yeah, it's if we next Tuesday I should have a little bit more info about who's going to be conference champion here or there, and then we'll probably get a better view of who the 6 auto qualifiers are going to be, and who are going to have the best chance to get those 10 bids and everything, because with hockey it's a lot smaller. College basketball, I think, 64 teams, if I'm not mistaken. To get bids and automatic qualifiers and everything. So you got a better chance in college basketball making the dance than you do in college hockey. So it's a lot harder to really be successful, especially in tournament time of the year. If you do well, you do well enough at those big time conferences and everything like that. Hockey East, Big Ten, the NCAA, Hockey East. These are all conferences that are just, ungodly big. The ECAC with Harvard and Yale. Harvard and Yale have always put out excellent hockey programs. Yale being the oldest collegiate, having the oldest collegiate hockey team in the country, which is something pretty cool. So they're the oldest hockey team out of all the college teams that are in the country right now. So they're always putting out a good product at Harvard and Yale. So that's something really cool to see. And Yale Bulldogs and the Harvard team always pretty. One of those two teams usually, try and makes the Frozen Four, if not both of them. So hopefully we can see a matchup between Harvard and Yale and have a battle of the nerds essentially, except with ice and sticks and a bunch of violence. So it'll be pretty cool to see. I'm actually kind of pulling for Harvard and Yale out of that conference to make the big dance and everything for the NCAA titles. So hopefully we get to see these two in a matchup. That would be something to see, Jay.
Most definitely. Definitely. I tell you what. Like I said, this time of the year with everything going on, it is definitely crazy, and I definitely throughout the week will be skimming your time sheet to keep up with everything going on, because it's all about to get real hectic real quick here when it comes to all these different things going on sport-wise, with baseball already with spring training going on, and the NBA wrapping up their season, NASCAR getting their season underway with the NCAA, both of them in their tournaments. It just get about to be hectic all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got playoffs for the basketball and hockey coming up. You got your NASCAR, baseball's in spring training. You got free agency getting ready to come up for the NFL, and it's going to be one crazy hectic couple of weeks here. So I'm looking forward to doing my part and bringing hockey to all my puckheads on the 110 side and everything. So, hey, man, it's it's hockey. I can never get too much hockey, Jay.
Oh, most definitely. Do we have anything else on the agenda before we wrap this up?
Well, like I said, it's glad to be back home in PA. Looking forward to hopefully playing some puck with some old friends up here. Actually, a funny story real quick. My uncle down in Houston sent me a Google map page of 12 ice rinks that are within the area that I'll be living in Houston. So he wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to get my hockey field down there in Houston and everything. So people who have been making fun of me said they don't have hockey down there. I said, no, you're right. They have to import ice to Houston. So, it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be something really cool. Really, really excited to do this and really excited to try and spread the 110 Nation and make us a little bit better and well-known.
Definitely excited about that, and definitely got to do something to help make that possible and help make that easier. So definitely going to look on trying to send some things that way to help spread the word out that way. But looking forward to keeping up with you throughout the week, to keep up with everything going on, NCAA and NHL, and looking forward to sitting back down here with you next Tuesday night and doing this all over again.
Most definitely, sir, most definitely. So, like I said, shoot me a tweet at 110 Puckhead, man. We're getting down to the last 15, 17 games of the season, and it's going to be time to dance for Lord Stanley and see who's going to be taking him home.
As always, Izzo, you have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. You do the same, and we will see you soon.
Yes, sir. That was Izzo, our NHL expert. Love having him on Tuesday nights. Love having an opportunity to do this. I've got to thank Izzo, got to thank Shorty both for coming on tonight with me. Definitely looking forward to tomorrow night. I'm not sure if Ms. Lee's got anybody scheduled for tomorrow night, but I know we got Shorty joining us as well to talk some topics as well. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., make it happen here.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
Enough is enough. Wall Street's greed and illegal behavior drove this country into the worst economic downturn since the 1930s. And then, after getting a huge taxpayer bailout because they were too big to fail, it turns out that 3 out of the 4 largest banks are bigger today than they were before we bailed them out. That's crazy. I'm Bernie Sanders. My plan: break up the big banks who are strangling our economy and make them pay their fair share of taxes. Then we can invest in the middle class, expand Social Security, and provide universal college education. I'll rein in Wall Street behavior so they can't crash our economy again. Will they like me? No. Will they begin to play by the rules if I'm president? You better believe it. I'm Bernie Sanders, Democratic candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Bernie 2016.